Hey guys, this is Anna with Anna Travels, and I'm just going to go over some of my thoughts about my latest trip to Disney and Universal during a pandemic. So I'm basically going to go over my experiences at Disney, my experiences at Universal, both good and bad, and also a little bit about the two airplane companies that I used and how I felt about that experience too. So stay tuned. So first, I'm gonna get out of the way my experiences with plane travel. So on the way down, I used Southwest, and coming back home, I flew American. Those are the two airlines I generally travel. Also JetBlue. But for this trip, Southwest was really cheap going down, and American was actually really cheap going home. So that's why I did a split. Like I just didn't book all with Southwest or all with American. Southwest until I think end of October is doing the middle row is blocked out. That doesn't mean that if you're traveling with your spouse or your child, they don't have to like sit away from you. It's just if it's two strangers, the middle seat is going to be blocked out. My flight down wasn't that full. It was more full than I expected, but I actually didn't have anybody next to me, and the person on the other side had nobody next to her. And so we flew. It was a nice, quiet flight. I kind of like that separation. You know, it was nice. It's nice knowing that you won't have someone next to you that is a stranger. American says, what pandemic? What is social distancing? Just wear your mask. And they were very strict about the type of mask. If it had a valve, you were not getting on that plane. She made that announcement like 3 or 4 times. And she was like, and I actually heard like her talking to someone about the valve. She was like, no, you can't fly with that. So I don't know what that dude ended up doing, because I was watching The Boys, like the first episode of The Boys. So I wasn't paying that much attention. I just overheard it a little bit. So I don't know what he ended up doing. I don't know if they had masks that they could provide, or if the kiosks had masks to purchase. But yeah, don't fly with a valve, at least on American. I'm not sure about the other airlines. Southwest gave you a snack, and I think they gave you a drink, but I took a nap during, I think I did overhear them saying they'll give a drink. American, nothing. Which I'm like, you're charging the same amount, but I don't get my dollar soda and my dollar bag of pretzels. Like, come on, yo. But anyways, so I mean, I didn't feel like the plane experience was any different than a normal travel day. Besides that everybody's wearing a mask. But yeah, I didn't really feel it was any different. Just wear a mask and make sure it doesn't have a valve in it. So I'm going to go over Disney. I'm going to go over just a little bit of my experiences at Disney World. And I felt that Disney overall did well. Like, I was super curious. Like, even though I watched like some of my fellow like Disney YouTubers, like, you know, friends and stuff like that have gone to Disney, you know, it's experience it for yourself is something different, you know. And I felt that Disney overall did a good job. You know, the cast members were super proactive about telling you to put your mask back on, put it over your nose, and like generally make sure that everybody is safe. If you were not sitting and eating something, or, well, actually just be stationary, you had to have your mask on. So if they saw that you're walking and like eating your churro, they would I heard multiple times, sir, ma'am, you gotta be stationary while you eat. And like, even if you were stationary, if you weren't drinking or eating, they told you to put your mask back on. And because I was sitting, you'll see this in a future video, I was trying this float, and while I was trying it out, I heard a cast member tell a lady, like, you know, she had to put her mask back on since she wasn't drinking anything. And, you know, it was just because she was just chilling and relaxing, and she was just talking to her daughter, so she just had her coffee, you know, like in her lap, you know, because, I mean, people do that. They talk, you know, and they drink mindlessly. So yeah, you can't mindlessly drink. You just have to just straight up drink your drink and then put your mask back on, or someone's gonna fuss at you. I didn't see as many times like Disney disinfecting the rides, and I don't think it's like, I think they are, I just don't think that when I was like in queue, I only saw them really disinfecting It's a Small World, and but they had a lot of hand washing, like the portable hand washing stations. I saw a lot more like, antibacterial stations everywhere, like everywhere. It's like what Disney has a trash can every, 6 or 7 feet apart. Well, there was an antibacterial every 6 or 7, feet apart. I'm not sure if it was that extreme, but mind you, if you needed to, disinfect, you were going to get disinfected. But yeah, I mean, I felt like they did good. The only thing that when I was I just think part of it is that I've gotten a lot more super sensitive about larger crowds, and then being in quarantine and being isolated from people, because I'm naturally an introvert. I went to a gun show earlier in August. Well, this is not August. I went to a gun show in early August with my husband, because we were looking for handguns for ourselves, and I just couldn't handle it. It was probably the biggest crowd I've been in since KatsuCon, which was back in February of this year. It was the last convention I ever attended, and I just couldn't handle it, and I just was like, and then going to Disney Springs, it was that same kind of experience, just way too many people, and people just not paying attention to where they're running into you, or they're cutting you off, or they're stopping randomly in the middle of the walkway. You tell those pet peeves. And it was just I just couldn't handle it. I just went to the Star Wars store and I got my husband the t-shirt he wanted, and I just went back to the bus loop, and I went back to the Contemporary. Because Disney Springs, they're controlling the store lines, and they have the social distance markers to get into some of the stores, but then some of the store lines are in the middle of the walkway. So it's just it's creating kind of a little bit of a crowd, and plus I don't think that they are, I think they are capping Disney Springs, but it's when you have a car full of not 10 people, you have a big car, but it's a family of 6, well, the parks, you can cap it because, we're selling so many tickets, but Disney Springs, everybody's coming by car, or by bus, or by Uber, or whatever the other modes of transportation to get into Disney Springs. So it's kind of how do you really cap a shopping center experience? Maybe they can, but yeah, so the shopping center experience, crazy. And I'll flow into Universal, and Universal City Walk felt the exact same. It just felt like mass chaos. And of course I went to the busiest time of the year of, since the pandemic happened, and it was insane at City Walk as well. I think some of the things that Universal is doing a little bit better than Disney is that before you get on any ride, and I think pretty much all the rides I rode except for maybe one, there was a cast member that squirted a little dollop of antibacterial in hands, and you disinfected, and you got to go on the ride. You got to you had to wear your mask for pretty much all the rides that I rode except for Jurassic Park's River Adventure. I think because the Dilophosaurus, is that the spitting not monster, the spitting dinosaur? I think because it did squirt me in the face. So I think that because of that aspect of the ride, they don't turn those off. I think that they actually told you to take off your mask in that ride. Other than that, the cast members just aren't as in Disney. They're mask, 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 mask. Universal is just you should put your mask on. You should put your mask on. It's more of a you should. But there are some times where some cast members are a little bit more put your mask on. I think a family behind us, like I say us, there was a couple that was sitting on the Gringotts ride. I forgot how many rows that ride is, but they were in the very front car, and I was in front row, and I was in the way back row. And we were just waiting and waiting, and I'm like, shoot, is the ride broken? Well, they apparently kicked off a family because I think they they just ripped off all their masks. And I think the cast members kept telling them, no, you have to put your mask back on. And I think eventually they just kicked them off. Because, you know, like if a cart is broken, you know, the family would just stay there and they would just, you know, get the next cart. But they all like left. So I don't know, maybe they kicked them off. I heard that you can be kicked off of rides if you don't wear your mask. So I don't know about that situation. But anyways, I mean, I think Universal though isn't as hard on the rule. Like, you know, I've heard that like the valves aren't allowed at both parks. I heard bandanas aren't allowed at both parks. But I saw people running around with valves and bandanas all over Universal. Did not see it at Disney, but I did see it at Universal Studios. You know, I'm not going to have a debate over with someone about valves or bandanas, but, you know, just if you have them, make sure that, you know, you might get away with it at Universal, but I didn't see it at Disney or American Airlines. Don't wear a valve. So that's how I felt. You know, would I go back again? I would, if it was in my budget too. But it's not in my budget right now to go back. And next in 2021, if we can sneak a weekend, depending on my husband's like leave situation, like if he has to take 14 days off, but we're trying to save up all of our leave to go to Japan and Korea for 3 weeks towards the end of 2021. So we'll see about that. But in generally, if I had the opportunity to go back to Universal or Disney, I would definitely take it. So yeah, those are just my general thoughts. Have you gone back to the parks since reopening? Would you go back, or are you waiting until a little bit more calmer times, if there's even such a thing anymore? Anyways, guys, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in future videos. I will start, you know, releasing my videos. If you're new here, I know some vloggers do like per day. I kind of just do whatever. I don't really have a set schedule. Sometimes I do it based on experiences. Sometimes I do it based on food reviews or whatever. But yeah, but still, like and subscribe and just watch all of them. Take care, guys.